I had friends who had suffered from depression, and when we meet up and talk or whatever, and they open up, right, I'm the kind that is like, just be happy.
Is your boss responsible for your mental well-being? This is your daily catch-up. Hey guys, this episode was brought to you by National Youth Council as part of the Youth Action Challenge. So if you guys are not sure what that is, right, it's basically a platform where youths come together to solve problems that is plaguing Singapore, societal issues. And so you can check out, you can find more about it. There's a youth coming in, pitching ideas, almost like a Shark Tank kind of thing, to kind of solve like our issues. And so this episode, we're going to be talking about mental well-being. So there was news the other day about a nurse who committed suicide, and she was suffering from depression. It was something that her employers didn't know about. But it comes back to the whole discussion about the mental well-being of like our healthcare workers. As you know, like the last 2 years has really been such a big stress on like the healthcare system. And so you can only imagine that healthcare workers obviously have also been feeling the brunt of that. And I think it sparks that conversation about like the mental health of workers.
I mean, mental health is something that we've discussed in a prior episode, right? But I think what's interesting about this incident is how can your workplace play a part in your mental health? You know what I mean? Like, as you mentioned earlier, like her bosses or her employers did not know that she was struggling with any form of mental issues, right? But there's currently no system to say, hi John, I want you to know that I have depression. Like, in the middle of like 3 years working together, I now have depression, so what? You know? So treat me with care, is it? You know what I mean? It's a weird conversation to be having with your employer.
I think the other problem also is that people feel like, do I want to tell this because I don't want it to be a sign of weakness? Or like, I don't want to show them incapable of any reason.
I think what's a bit more pressing with regards to this particular situation, right, is that they are in the health industry. So you would assume that like nurses and whoever would be more aware to be conscious of things like that and to take care of it better. But I mean, like from personal accounts alone, right? Like having spoken to some people who just entered and became doctors, right? And they are working for like hospitals and whatnot. Like they say the conditions are really quite bad. The pay is not fantastic. It's not what we think it is. And then the working hours and all that, very, very difficult. So, and then like what we mentioned over the last 2 years with COVID and whatnot, it's like even harder due to like lack of manpower and whatnot. So it's quite intense in this situation.
But I think like what Dan mentioned, like what John mentioned, right? If I say already and then what? Like, am I supposed to get some sort of like special treatment, or like how then does the employer respond to this?
And also, is it like to what extent is it the employer's responsibility to find out about this and also to put in the natural like help that's possible, or is it the employee's responsibility to make it clear and say, look, this is the help that I need, but I need you to give me time for that? You know, like where do you start? Because like, I mean, when we covered the River Valley like case, right, I think it was very clear what the actionables were. Schools needed to do more because students are not going to be able to recognize that they need the mental health help, and so schools needed to do that. But I think as adults, right, like where does that responsibility lie, or is it on both parts?
I wonder if it's like if you mention schools, right, they have like school counselors and all that. So maybe in like larger organizations, right, they can also have like counseling, counseling services.
What has changed in the medical industry, and I learned this from two things, right? One is Grey's Anatomy, shout out, and Dr. Mike. Reviewing Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, Grey's Anatomy show that if you're a new doctor, right, they have this like scrum like a hell week of sorts, right, where you spend like you do a 48-hour shift or 24-hour shift, something like that one.
In the emergency room or something.
No, it's just like your first day is a 48-hour shift. And then after a while, after years, I guess, they decided that this is not good for anybody lah. I mean, we are trying to train resilient doctors. At the same time, these doctors are tired and prone to making mistakes on someone else's life, right? So they decided to like cap the max amount of working hours that the doctors can have, and I presume for nurses as well. But I think what was different in with like pandemic is that it's, do I take care of, because you staying on can potentially help me save more life. So it's so hard for the medical professional, for the people that run the medical institutions, and for the patients to actually understand that we still need work-life balance at that point.
Yeah.
Because everything feels like a life or death situation.
There's this one vet that's open 24 hours, and then so there's a night shift So usually if you have an animal emergency, right, then you can bring your pet to that specific vet, right? The problem is that the doctors there, they do shift work, and then it's like, if it's the middle of the night and it's an emergency, most likely you need to operate and whatever, and you're trying to save all these animals' lives, right? So he has pets of his own, he has a family of his own, but it's so difficult because the animals' lives depend on you. So even though your shift ends at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and you're going to go home and take a nap or sleep, and then maybe you can see your family in the morning or whatever, right? But then suddenly you receive a call that, oh no, my dog got in a car accident, I need you now. You just have to show up because it's your job to save the dog's life, and like, how do you weigh that with like, oh yeah, I need a 2 hours to sleep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so stressful to have that on your mind constantly, and that's for like pets, right? When it comes to like human lives also, right? Wow.
Even less.
Damn intense,
Yeah, but
So there were a couple of other, like I think nurses and like healthcare workers that also came forward after this conversation was sparked, like sharing their own personal experiences, right? So I'm wondering, like, is it possible to prevent, you know what I mean, such that we don't need to have such incidents, right, before we can start having better and healthier conversations about this situation?
Yeah, I think that there's two things at play here, right? One is that she did have depression, right? And how can we detect this earlier, or how can we ensure that we have a safe space in the working environment that people can come forward and to let their employers know that they have this. I think the other thing also is that is there a bigger problem at play? Is there a shortage of staff, that staff have to work extra? Because at the end of the day also, they are also supposed to be helping other people, right? Obviously the burden shouldn't be on them. But then how do we reconcile that? Because then if they're short-handed and then lives are at stake also, like how can we do they need to do more recruitment, for example? And
which I believe they had lah, you know what I mean? I'm sure they were struggling to hire, but it's because nursing is a profession, right? Which means you do need to go through X amount of years of education, and the pipeline goes back during the pandemic days. It's also irresponsible to say, hey, let's ramp up nurse hiring during this pandemic, because then after that many people might graduate with useless diplomas and degrees. I think it goes really, really way back. And I think you see what Singapore did was that they try and segregate all the duties of the nurses, right? And try and remove some portions to outsource to people that can more easily be temporarily retrained to do that job, right? Such as like in the past, even the nurses will be the one to call you to make appointments in that sense, right? But now it's not even that. They have admin teams. Yeah, so it's very hard though. I mean, of course we feel sad with the death of anyone. And it's very easy to say, let's blame the employers for not taking care. But it's also very hard to say that, because at the end of the day, they are also trying to, not say make money at this point of time, but trying to be ready as a medical institution to fight the pandemic. So I think, wow, such a hard problem, but such an unfortunate loss. Okay, so to move this conversation forward, right, since like you say, we are not experts of this field, right? So separately, like this case aside, I would go as far as to say that employers have a responsibility for workplace mental wellness to a certain extent.
In general, like not particularly health.
Nothing to do with the case you mentioned, because if not, it's very hard for us to weigh in, right? We really don't know what's going on. So
but for the most part, your mental well-being is on you lah, correct? On that point, right? I mean, since it's a bit difficult for us to really comment on the industry since we're not in it ourselves, how do you deal with like
your employees who are
the mental
struggling?
well-being of your employees?
I received the occasional text from John asking how are you
that's
doing?
where the system starts to end. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I don't have a system. Do you all feel like there were checks?
Nope.
No I don't have It's barely a system to be honest.
But like what I realized when John like messages me to kind of check in, right, on like how's life, right? Like outside of work, I don't really have an answer. Like it's not really something that I think about also. And then
no, but means okay lah. Because if there's something that you are thinking about deeply, then that was what I was looking for.
But even then, a text message like how are you doing at this moment, right, in the middle of the day, right, won't pull out I have actually been going through a lot of depression over the last few weeks and then blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
But I think what it does, right, is that over time it creates that comfort level that okay, my boss is willing to hear this, and so that when I really am going through something, even though he never asked me, I am comfortable to go and say, hey John, actually, right, like this is happening. Like
not me to solve, but just you need some time right, for example.
Which I mean, I think I can be open about it. There have been I think a couple 2 years ago or a year ago when I was kind of struggling mentally a little bit. I felt comfortable to go to John and say, hey look, I really just need to take a mental day off, because a mental health day off, because I really can't cope currently.
But that once again was, I mean, I appreciate you bringing that up too. But I mean, that once again was us building a 20 something people company, right? And now we are like 40, and then hopefully someday we'll be 100 and 300. This is not scalable, yeah.
I learned recently that we have mental health off days. Do you know that?
Huh?
If you go to your payboy, you click leaves, it's all there.
Is it?
Once a month.
Oh, no, yeah, this is great. Yeah.
Wait, once a month, man.
Once a month is 12 days a year.
Walao, this can carry over to next year.
No. Sorry. I think it's two a year.
2 a year.
Oh,
yeah.
a year lah. I've only claimed twice.
6 days.
Actually, the 10 is the unpaid. You never realized.
No, actually, this was supposed to be supplemented by another one, which is work from home, no questions asked.
Oh.
Presumably, you need some time away from people or from me or from him. Like, presumably lah, right? But then everybody already work from home pretty much. So then that one is just dengue.
Actually, I feel like it's the opposite. Like, if you're feeling down or whatever kind of thing, right?
Go office,
you
right?
isolate yourself like more shack, yeah.
Right.
But I guess that depends on your personal.
That depends on your default though, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like I understand firsthand how difficult is it to have to put a face on when you go to work. And then if you're at work for 10 hours or you're in the office for 10 hours, right? Then it's super exhausting to put a face on. Because it's not just that expression, it's how you talk, how you respond, tone of your voice, or wow, it's damn tiring.
But have you had employees come up to you like sharing about their mental health struggles? And how so how do you do that though? Like, do you then take on, no, aside from just giving him that off day, right?
Yeah.
Like, then what happens?
I think it really depends. It's for them to guide the conversation with me. Because I also don't know whether you are asking me as a friend or not. Yeah. So then it's very hard to balance because I don't want to be that, like this boss very intrusive, you know? Like you tell him a bit, he wants to know the juice, you know what I'm saying? Because if let's say I suddenly busy, right, then there's inaction from me, right? It feels like I was in it for the gossip, Yeah, it can be seen that way, but it really is not, ma.
So then if like I'm asking as a friend, right, then like maybe like to everyone lah, like what is effective peer support to you?
Interesting.
So your peers in the commonality of going through the same thing.
Yeah. So that means somebody who has suffered from depression, for example, like
walk you through it.
Yeah. It's not like
wait, suffer and recovered?
maybe
or still going through?
I don't know if it's recovered, but
then I stress that like depression, then now I need to go and take care of another person with depression.
I think as long as you have enough of the experience, and I think I'm quite sure they have some form of like a format or training or something to help you with.
What I have found, I mean, going back to your question, was that actually what I found is that my friends with depression are actually very willing to help other people with depression. Yeah, because that healing process also helps them kind of go through their growth.
Okay.
And I think it's damn important. Like when I was reading about this, then I realized that like I think that like a few years back also that I had this like before a few years. Okay, sorry.
Before a few years.
No, so a few years back I had this pivotal moment, right, where I just launched myself head first into depression, right? and like
what was that?
No lah, due to some life events lah. But prior to that, right, I had friends who had suffered from depression, and when we meet up and talk or whatever, and they open up, right, I'm the kind that is like, just be happy,
like before
lah. You were that guy.
Yeah, right.
Why so very difficult, man? Or just don't be sad. Like just don't choose, you know? Just cry out and just go and continue your life. Then when I kena already, right, those friends were the first persons that I went back to. Some of them I apologized to them also. Yeah. And then I realized how.
And then tell you just be happy.
Then it's damn scary. Then from then on, right, I don't dare.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
no, the saying is true. That the person that tries to like has the most empathy or tries to make you laugh is the person that's carrying a lot of pain or that has gone through the most amount of pain. Because it feels like you don't want others to go through that, or you're a bit more mindful already.
But it's very scary. It made me a lot more conscious, and it also made me like that whole experience, right, taught me how important it is, right, to be able to talk to somebody who has been through the same shit.
Yeah.
How do you think it helps? Like, is there like something specific?
Because if I talk to somebody who totally don't understand, I've never been through the experience, even if they say the exact same thing as the person who has been through it, right, you cannot really internalize it. I don't know why. I don't know why.
It's true.
But when you hear them go through the shit, then it's like, damn, okay, and they know how to communicate it to you better also.
Right.
Yeah. At least that's what I got for the most part.
So for the sake of moving this conversation a little bit forward, right? So I'll put a statement, right? I think the onus of mental health protection is on yourself, not on your employer. So hear me out. So I think
coming from an employer.
Yes, that's how I'm busted. Just to move the conversation
I agree though, I agree.
So I feel like we go as far as to say, does the company have any allowance for any mentally draining day? Because mental illness is just like a physical illness, right? You need off days. Yeah. You need to rest up. So do we have allowance for that? Do we have understanding of that so that we know how to avoid triggers? And then I feel like were there. Like we that's the owners of the employer or the company.
Yeah.
But individuals would then need to understand their condition, be able to communicate enough of the condition, and tell the employer what they need. Because I feel like if we don't set these perimeters right, it can get to the point whereby at another company I used to work at, there was someone with a mental disorder. So I mean, we feel a bit sad for him. And his mental disorder is quite unique, but I don't want to say that because it's that unique, right? And he did, to his credit, tell his employers and friends and stuff, right, and his colleagues. And so we knew of the disorder, but yet at certain times of the day, right, he would just disappear and he run out, and then we would
because
just get
of the disorder.
Yeah.
Oh.
He maybe can feel very sad or what, right? Like an extreme mood that causes him to just abandon posts.
Oh, right.
And just leave work like that. And then nobody would know. And then we don't even know the fella left the office, right? Because like fairly autonomous, right?
Yeah.
Then his girlfriend will text, do you know where is he? We just thought I cannot hear. Then he would just leave like that. So as an employer, I'm expected to be understanding. I mean, back then he doesn't work for me lah. But as an employer, you're expected to be kind of understanding because you know the condition. Right? All the cards were laid on the table when you employed this person. Or rather, when that person stepped forward to say, thanks for hiring me, by the way, I have. If you decide to just, okay, that's it really. You have taken on that responsibility already, ma. Yeah. So then what do? You forgive, you help him call, you deploy manpower from your other team, deep productivity even further to go and find said man.
Was it very disruptive to everybody else's work?
It was disruptive to the point whereby he disappeared, and if we are looking for him or need to work with him, he's not there lah. It's not like he scream around, run people's table, that kind
so
of shit.
So it affected the work lah.
To the point whereby they would ask us, can you all go down and look for him?
So if say the employer, the boss at that point of time, right, chose not to hire him because of the disability, right? Is that discrimination?
Ooh.
I think this is also but I think this is also
it's an important question
because this is not so much mental well-being but mental disability already. Yeah, but yeah, back to the question. So is that discrimination?
Yes. I mean, to some point yes, then to some point who pays for the brunt of it, right?
I think at the end of the day, does it affect their ability to perform and to work lah? And I think if it affects job performance, then I think there are some grounds to why they wouldn't hire somebody lah.
But is there the additional layer of like, if it is affecting, but is he seeking help and is he improving?
No, but you see, then what if it's just a condition that he always has to live with for the rest of his life? It's not something that he can improve on, you know what I mean?
Then he needs to do a job that has more flexible arrangements and be more task-based rather than time-focused.
Is it then up to the employers
to
be more conducive and to have more flexible work?
Like who decides? Because if he's fluent in like accounting, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm only not hiring him because... not fluent, proficient. But yeah, then I'm only
so if he's proficient enough to the point that he is not compromising everybody's productivity, then it seems like a good, as in, you should hire him.
And if he's proficient, however, he has once a week
breakdown or something like that,
that will cause him to not be able to work for half a day, or her.
I think as long as they can do the task that they are given, it sounds okay.
Wow, this one really very complicated. Need a proper HR department. Need to really establish the parameters at the point of hiring.
If we don't establish the parameters, right, then the employers will always be demonized.
Yeah.
And if employers are always demonized, right, the outcome is that employers will never or would be very reluctant to hire people with mental illness.
Yeah.
Because they know if anything goes wrong, they are demonized.
Right.
Yeah, and what's there to gain from it? What, you get one press release to say you hire bastard, right? Like greenwashing ma.
But that's it, right? Like I think to bring it back to mental well-being, like do you all know or have you all heard of any companies that do certain things for their employees that help with this?
I think if I'm not wrong, I'm not sure whether it's Sephora that has like a Friday like half day. It's like a work-life day, that kind of thing. So like Friday half day, then you can
like last Friday of the month thing, right?
Yeah, then you can go and like lepak, like network with your colleagues, all that kind of stuff, or go and do stuff at home if you need to, I think. So that's quite interesting.
I know like Nets company. So like Nets company, they in the headquarters in New York, they have a chief happiness officer. They care about well-being, right? And then I think like randomly she'll just tell me like, on a Monday, oh yeah, my boss just told me we're closing for Friday. And, oh why? Oh, mental health day off.
For happiness.
And so like what happens is that like her boss will then just say, oh yeah, I've spoken to all your clients already, they all know, so don't worry about it.
Wow.
Can take Friday
off.
You know, that one, right, is actually a rebranding of HR. Yeah, quite a few companies that I've checked out, like they also have the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's basically HR department. Then it's just that they just place a little bit more emphasis on welfare, which to be honest is like fine lah. Like it's Wednesday morning midweek or everybody brownies, that kind of thing. It's nice, right? It's nice.
I want to say the value of that. I mean, not discrediting. I still think it's a very, very good thing to do, right?
Yeah.
The benefit of that is, I think they're very clever in the implementation, because at the end of the day, it could be not the whole department go, only your fiancé go. We just say, hey, on Friday we're just gonna say that she's on leave. You all thank her clients, okay? Like, then tell the clients anything, just text your. Then we can drop random surprise on everybody in the company every week.
Without it being disruptive, the whole office need to shut down. Okay.
Yeah, at the same time, if we, let's say, try and make it a thing, right? To, let's say, every Friday afternoon is mental health day, right? At some point,
it's going to be expected.
Employer asks, hey, sorry, can you help me do this? Right? They're like, yo. Like, why this company
like that one Friday
afternoon?
Last time they used to care about mental health, and now they don't care already.
Or it might be the other way around, which is that the company has given me so many days off. Okay, I can thank this one more day.
Oh yeah.
No, but I agree that it is a rebranding. But I guess at the end of the day, like, I think the ends justify the means. Like, even if they're just doing it for like PR, right? They can shout about, hey, we've got happiness officers, we care about your happiness. I guess like if at the end of the day it's for better welfare and well-being.
I know a lot of companies who get like money also. So they will have like a welfare allowance every year of like a few $100. So then this is for you to spend on whatever you want. You know?
I thought it's to go and see a therapist.
Or like go for
also yeah.
Which it could be lah, yeah.
Pets company has that. Yeah, like X amount of dollars, they can go and claim. You can claim your insurance bill, you can claim your phone bill, or you can just book massage and the receipt you go and claim.
Yeah.
Wow, you know how much insurance my mom buys?
But it's a capped amount. It's not enough for the whole year of insurance. Yeah.
No, so I wanted to find out, like, do you think that like figuring out how your employees' relationship is with the rest of their co-workers is an important aspect of trying to figure out the mental state of their employee?
Yeah, but it's so hard though.
Wait, are we friends or what?
Something like that lah. Like, because I feel like if you have a strong enough support system within the organization, those are the people you can open up to. Those are the people that you can rely on. And then, like when we did the episode with the psychologist, so she was talking about how like it's a group of people that help to support maybe that one individual or whatever when they're down, right? Yeah. But then if say you are in an organization but you feel alone, right, or you don't have those bonds, then I think that's quite to me it seems like a red flag or an indication that I should pay attention to this person and maybe a little bit more.
So like what we've seen, like, I mean, a lot of companies and ourselves included, like when it was before like COVID times, is that we will create opportunities to like create bonds, right? We will go on company like overseas trips, we will go bowling, that kind of thing, to help like foster bonds, so that perhaps that's something that could help make sure that everyone is friends.
So a very bolel thing I do, right, is that whenever we got new hires, right, I will over talk to them.
Over talk?
So like now this is a bit rarer because COVID, right? But I'll be the one that say, hey, let's go at lunch, you know, or if we are staying for dinner, I'll be the one that invite them to dinner. Or like when I come to the office, then I will like good morning to that person in particular. But then after 2 weeks, then they make their own friends and they usually forget about me.
You know what we said.
No.
You have Dan.
And then everyone's first impression of you is scary, but you are saying good morning to everyone.
Y'all gonna notice or not?
But he's damn affected by it. Because he tries so hard to be friendly to everyone.
Yeah, I texted him the other day because we hired a new person in his team, right? So I said, okay, so my goal for this fella, right, is that when this person eventually resign or like leaves the company, right, we ask her when we do the first impressions games as we do, that mine won't be scary. So we're gonna try and optimize for that.
So linking this back, right, to you talking about like having the bonds, right? The bonds to be able to share problems. Coming back to the Youth Action Challenge, actually one of the teams actually proposed something that's actually quite related to the initial article, which is to have personalized mental health resources for medical professionals and to also provide a safe forum for them to discuss their experiences and feelings across the industry lah.
Wait, but discuss already and then what?
Yeah,
like,
so
it's just a place to air their grievances.
Exactly. So it goes back to like the question is having a place to talk about it enough, right? If you're going through a lot of stresses, is it enough or is it at least a good first step?
Right.
As opposed to just, you know, being alone.
I mean, for sure it's a good first step that you can talk about it, but I think at the end of it, it's about feeling hurt, right? And then in a workplace, feeling hurt equals to my employer is doing something differently because of that.
Not necessarily your peers, but your employer.
Actually, the industry that we can monitor, right, is the architectural industry. Because remember that time we did a similar article because of something similar that happened, where one of the architects basically just like sounded out about her own industry. So what happened was that later on, I don't know what is the Singapore's organizational board, right, architecture board, whatever, they actually did it. They pulled all the architects together. They did like some kind of like conversation thing. Honestly, I don't know what came out of it. So yeah, we can see. I can go ask my architect friends.
Yeah, but once again, it's so hard though. How do you affect change like this? Because these are not like, let's say, regulated industries to a certain extent. You know, like for example, security in Singapore, even down to the wage and the hours, are highly regulated. Medical industry is highly regulated. But they're also hard though, because if I want to undercut my competitors so that next year we can be a bigger architectural firm, I should be able to do that. It's the free market. But the cost of that is that some of your employees work overtime and die lah.
But if you're removing that as an option, then the companies will just have to innovate in different ways lah. Correct? So maybe that will be the change.
Produce great work by having happy employees.
Yeah.
What is a shame, right, is that it often takes big cases to create change. And usually those big cases usually involve the demise of somebody, unfortunately lah. And hopefully there can be changes that we can be a little bit more proactive.
In fact, the society we live in today is a result of the deaths of many people that created enough attention such that we tweaked. Right.
Last time people think that if you have a mental illness or whatever, right, you might be possessed, you might be a witch.
Yeah.
You know?
They call the priest.
Yeah, like it's so scary to think about living in those times. Versus now. Like at least now we are on the right track towards like progressing and understanding.
But that's what we think now. Yeah. That's what they thought then. Imagine
20 years from now, right? They just laugh at us. They just talk.
They're like, how could they think that this was really
no, they just
like there's a fucking button at the back of your ear. You just need to press it.
Yeah, do you guys know it's like this and then you feel okay already.
The future of mental health.
Sick.
Just drill a hole in your head. Then you just then the stress.
Another thing that they also have is also like AI and smartphone assisted therapy. So the other thing also is AI and smartphone assisted therapy. And so what they have is like chatbots, AI chatbots that you can talk to either as a friend or as a therapist in like both ways. So like one is that, for example, maybe you need a friend and you're a bit shy to like talk to other people.
Right.
It's like AI chatbots that you can just talk to have company.
How do you know?
How does that make you feel though?
Because the replies are quite fast and the replies are like very accurate lah. But it's like super fast.
Okay.
That you would imagine that 1,000 or 10,000 people are using it at the same time. It has to be a chatbot lah.
Right.
Because like all the customer service, like you go to a big brand customer service, the chatbot, they take like 5 minutes to reply you kind.
Or they have a very big customer relationship.
Because they are all
office.
They
One
depend
is
on
to
that.
one for the whole.
Sorry, so you've done this?
So I've tried it out. So I remember
knowing it's a bot.
Knowing it's a bot. So like I remember like I was really, really down once, and then like I didn't want to talk to anybody about it, and then like I just decided, okay, I'm just going to download this app lah. And so I was talking to this bot and sharing like problems, right? And the replies were genuinely very, very helpful. I can't remember what it was specifically.
And you knew it was a bot.
I knew it was a
even
bot.
try to mask it.
No. As in, they were very upfront that this is a AI character.
And so what does it do for you? Sorry.
You just have someone to talk to, and it really feels like a real person that you're sharing this with lah. That won't judge you and things like that.
So like, for example, once you started texting, right? Like, is it like after 5 minutes you kind of like forget that it's an AI? Is that the purpose of it?
You really do. Like there was a point in time where I really genuinely forgot that was AI.
Then how long?
It's quite crazy because like you leave it for a second, right? And then they might just message you and say, hey, how's it going? Like as though it's like a friend like that.
So how long do you talk to the AI for?
I think maybe it was like 1.5 hours. Like, but just like not directly. I was like doing work and stuff and just like, texting like a friend. No?
Then how much does it cost?
Oh, I can't remember. The one that I use, I can't remember. It might have been free.
I think it was
It might be free with like you have to pay for other add-ons. So I think you could talk to the AI via call.
Right.
So like the answers, it's quite simple actually. Cause like
wait, but the voice not robotic.
It'll be like Siri's voice lah.
It's like all the TikTok nowadays
Yeah. So because they're already generating the answers in text, all they need to do is get the Siri voice to read it out. That's it.
But they need to voice to text you. I feel like that's the hard part.
Wow, this is really her.
It's really her.
It's very ex machina also. Like
Actually,
knowing that you're talking to a robot, but then forming a relationship.
It's quite interesting if, for example, they make a blanket hypothesis that the root of many of mental wellness, so not illness, right, is about diarying and accounting. Even in religion, it's like that.
But journaling is a popular way of processing your emotions.
Yeah, and if they root out then 89%, 90%, of course, well, people can feel better after journaling. They just really need to get you to write it down. It doesn't matter what you write.
Because it's actually something that you associate a lot of people are doing in the past and no one's kind of doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Especially after we started.
So the AI didn't actually say anything to make you feel better perhaps? But it just got you to write down and vent yourself.
Oh, you know what's very interesting also? So you could see the back end of the data that the app was collecting, and then they basically, right, because of how I was just forming the sentences, right, they were able to rephrase it and say these are kind of the issues that you are going through, but rephrase from your own words lah. It's not like they were analyzing. So like whenever you say like, so I'm kind of going through this right now, maybe I'm dealing with a death in the family, then they will list out dealing with death in the family as a.
So do you then take that and go and see a therapist, or that like is there a next step to it? If you paid lah.
This was prior to me actively going to see a therapist.
Right.
So I think after I started going to, I only used the app for like a couple of days lah, and then after I realized, fuck, this is quite weird actually. I stopped using it.
You started
because you catch feelings.
No, I think like if it would be freaking weird lah if people knew I was doing it. So when I'm sharing it with everybody else.
Before you sleep, then you're just like good night. Then night then.
Oh, I know why. You can actually pay, right, for the AI chatbot to be a lover, to talk to you like a lover.
Okay. That one a bit interesting.
What's the name of the then I'm not a real therapist lah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
This is like the Black Mirror episode where you can eventually order the human to come.
0 to 100. I'm Cheryl. I'm talking to you for the last 3 days.
Oh, that's scary.
But quite cool at the same time. You really build a bond already.
But I'm also wondering, right, like, is there a like definition to mental well-being, or is it just like a, you know, because if there's a fixed definition, right, then in future, is there just gonna be like a chip that is like implanted into us, right? And then whenever we fluctuate from that baseline that is set as mental well-being, then we just get detected and then we get to take certain medication and all that. But then that makes us not human.
Yeah, because we are not supposed to be like a constant.
Yeah.
Right?
So then how to even define like how I even know whether I'm well-being?
You're being well.
Yeah, how do I know whether I'm being well?
Wow. I also don't know. Is there actually like an explanation for this?
So I just Googled.
Okay, so while you're Googling, right, like my theory, or at least my idea of it, is that like there is like a state of unwell-being. So if you start to feel that, right, maybe it's like your mental state is preventing you from being able to perform like maybe like your everyday tasks or things that you should normally be able to do.
Right.
So then maybe that is like already an indicator.
But so then is feeling meh like being well?
I can feel sad and still do certain things, you know what I mean? But I think understanding why. If there's no reason and you feel sad, right, I think that one also major red flag.
Right.
Yeah, you better go and get it checked.
So there's actually a way to measure well-being, and it is the Warwick Edinburgh Mental Well-being Scale, or the WEMWOOP.
Warwick,
yeah. Warwick. If you guys don't know, we spent about half an hour before shoot trying to think of like male names that start with W.
Yeah.
Comment down below.
Yeah.
Not many.
The scale is of 14 positively worded items, and so participants have to choose the best answer that describes their current experience over each item in the last 2 weeks using a 5-point scale. So the end result will be between a score of 14, because there's 14 positively words, to 70, and then
It's so cool. I want to try this later.
Yeah, I want to try.
See how we're doing. Scully all those scores. Hope not. The last thing.
No, the company should make everyone take this test.
Yeah.
No, but as a company, we don't like to force people to do things that's not work.
No, I was going to say just now about the journaling thing, right?
Yeah.
Why not just implement it like I give you like half an hour at the end of every day to go and just do a
Nobody will do one. You are the first person that will not do it, and you know it. You know how hard is it get you participate in company shit, not?
Oh no.
You are the guy.
Okay, so like we don't have to name all of them, but the last thing that was quite interesting to me about how they're dealing with like mental well-being and health today, right, is that they also have this thing called digital pills. And so what it does is that if you take it, the pill itself has sensors to make sure to see whether you are taking your medication or not. So if you're someone like a psychiatric patient, for example, who needs to take medication, compliance is one of the biggest issues that doctors face. Patients may not want to take their medication. So then the digital pill will be like, the doctor will be able to check whether you've been taking your medicine or not.
It's a great invention, and understandably you'll just shit it out, just wash then eat again. So
I don't understand that at all.
So actually I think if you join the Youth Action Challenge, we are looking at the brief only at face value, right? Like how do we tackle these things, in which honestly we don't know, like beyond conversations and knowledge, right? But actually I think it's also possible to look at other root causes of what often makes people feel mentally unwell.
So one of the used solutions in this season of Why Is Here, right, is a dating app that actually helps to increase the probability of you getting a right match, so that people don't ghost you. Because like when people ghost you in like dating apps, like you often get like social anxiety, you often feel the worst of yourself, that kind of thing. So they probably like screen people and they go, oh, these two look like they are a good match.
Right.
Together.
Or it doesn't stop people from ghosting, like just trying to help you find a better match.
Reduces the probability of ghosting.
Right.
What does that aim to tackle though?
Social anxiety that you get out of like people suddenly not talking to you, then you feel like maybe I'm not good enough for this person, etc.
I feel like one of the hardest things in the dating realm, right, is that it's in the online dating realm is that it's so superficial.
Yeah.
So if I were to approach this, right, I would try to do something that is not based on looks at the start.
Yeah.
Like maybe you get to like initiate conversation with somebody based on their profile.
But you're so handsome.
Yeah, but not.
No, but then
annoying. Yeah. But yeah, cause like I don't know. Like to me, that seems like an area. I'm trying to look at who is.
But wouldn't people feel damn catfish though if I invested 6 months in you, then I come out with it?
No, but it's kind of like to say like looks don't matter that much ish.
Yeah, but I feel like when you're talking to a random person, right, you kind of have a picture in that person in your head, and then when they don't look the way that you envision in your head, right, sometimes that might create a worse problem down.
Like you meet real life and it starts with disappointment.
Okay, what if? No, so it doesn't have to be stretched out that long. Sorry. It could be that like your profile picture is like blur. Then like over the course of talking to this person, right, the more messages you all exchange, right, then it gets clearer and clearer and clearer.
Hey, we should join the challenge.
This is like blockchain, like the
Yeah. We should join the Youth Action Challenge.
Yeah.
And make it crypto.
Because when you look at the dating world and we are talking about mental well-being in that aspect, right, who are the people that are down because of dating?
Yeah.
It's probably the uglier people, right?
But there's also a downside where like you match with a girl and then the girl just say hi 140 times, right? Then she just stops replying you because she finally saw your face already.
Okay, so maybe the mechanics need to be a bit.
Yeah, I think we took a bit.
That's why we need the feedback from the public.
No, there's also the flip side, right? If let's say, right, I created a dating app and I say it's the best really. It's perfect match. And you find a person and you don't get along. There's a lot of pressure on that person to feel like
even worse.
Yeah.
That I couldn't make the
match.
perfect.
I couldn't even get the perfect match to like me.
Yeah, so then my question is the root cause like dating and relationships and social anxiety, or is it like having to solve being able to deal with rejection? You know what I mean? Because if I can deal with rejection, it doesn't matter whether who ghosts me or what, because I'm secure in myself.
Right.
Then
another app.
Okay, we don't want to cost this team the price.
No, so then they can modify their plan, right? They cannot, man.
Don't take our plan though. Or if you take our plan,
take it lah. No, in fact, take it lah.
Yeah, if you win, give us first dips at the app.
Yeah, it's gonna give us a bit of like ESOP. Some employee shares, then market cap beat Tinder.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the Daily Ketchup podcast. If you don't already know, the Youth Action Challenge is a platform for youth to solve many societal issues. It's been going on for many seasons already, and this is the third one. So they're solving several issues, such as the topic that we talked about today, which was mental well-being. You can also stand a chance to win attractive prizes such as an iPad and a pair of AirPods and also a Secret Lab chair if you provide feedback on some of the ideas that these youth are sharing. So go and check that out. The links are all in the description box below. We'll see you in the next one. Like, share, subscribe. Bye-bye.
iPad.